Hey everybody, this is Lisa, proud owner of Body Soul Training, and welcome back to our program called The Inner Life of Fitness. We share inspiring stories to help ignite your inner and outer strength. And today I have a very special guest with me today. I've worked with Barbara, we were talking a little bit earlier, for over 25 years. We've known each other, yeah. Barbara, your amazing story goes back to your New York roots. And every time we work out together in the fitness center through the years, we just always have amazing conversation. As much as I hope that I have helped you, and we'll share a little bit about that, you have also inspired me and taught me about politics and human rights, and you've done a lot of that. Like, you fought for a lot of human rights. You were a human rights activist and still are today, and very passionate, which is, you're just a great human being.
Thank you.
So Barbara and I also share a birthday. I turned the big 50, and Barbara is 90 years old. She did not start working out till you were in your 40s. And you said you really, truly believe that that's made a true difference in you aging better and functionally moving. We'd love for you to share a little bit about your story. So let's talk about your roots. Let's talk about you going back to New York, and you were arrested in Rochester.
Oh, that's not my roots. I grew up in the Bronx.
Ah, the Bronx. I remember that story. How old were you when you were on the, when you were in the Bronx? So you took the subway, like how old, and where would you go?
I took the subway to ice skate in Rockefeller Plaza, horseback ride in Central Park. I was just a kid.
How old?
12, 13, 14. And then I went to college at NYU. And
what was your degree in?
My degree was in Bachelor of Arts, and then I got a master's after that. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then how did you get involved? What was your passion? Because you were always active.
Well, when I was in college, I remember Howard Fast, the author, came, and we objected to some of his political stands. And as a student, I was out marching, so I got started early. And I joined the NAACP when I was a student.
Wow.
I just, I don't know what it was. I just always felt as if I wanted to be involved with making things different.
Making things different, making things better. What did you get arrested for?
Well, I was not arrested. I was challenged by the police in Rochester because we were marching to defend some civil rights issues. But my husband, who was a physician.
I think we have a picture of that now.
I used his files. I used his patient files.
What?
To call people on the phone to get them involved about public housing, integrated housing in our community. Mm. And he was challenged by the License Board of New York State for...
Oh my gosh.
Well, I also got him to sign teachers' forms. Teachers were marching for integrated education in the inner city. Wow. And he would sign their forms saying that they were emotionally upset with the issues around education, integrated education, not having it. And the Taft-Hartley law said that teachers weren't allowed to march, weren't allowed to protest.
Wow.
That was a fairly new law.
Yeah.
So my husband was implicated, but he managed to make it okay.
So you've always had a passion to help people in need. Where does that come from?
I think my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my parents.
Yeah. Were they politically involved? Did they support you?
Yes. Well, they were very politically involved. My mother was a union organizer.
Wow.
And she worked for Western Union. She was a switchboard operator.
Really? So she
Yeah.
was on that board. One ringy dingy.
That's right.
Two. Come on.
And she was one of the first people to get that group of workers organized.
Wow.
So she was on a picket line when I was a kid.
Wow.
So I was pretty used to that. And my father was just a very, he believed in all that. He wasn't exactly a wild person like my mother was.
So they supported you in your actions.
Yeah.
So you got married young. I remember you saying you and your husband, may he rest in peace. He was a great man.
He certainly was.
You guys went to college and you were married and went to college.
I met my husband when I was in my third year.
Okay.
And he was in his second year of medical school.
Okay.
Yeah.
But have you always been wanting to be involved in politics, and you became a social worker?
Yeah, originally. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what other kind of work have you done, and how have you been politically involved?
Well, I worked early on, just worked for the welfare department right out of college, which most women did that graduate with that kind of a degree. Wasn't much of anything.
Yeah.
But it was working with people who were on welfare.
Yeah.
And that was, I had some feelings about people in poverty, etc. And then, I don't know, just as we evolved as a couple,
Yeah.
I became more interested in civil rights issues as my kids were growing up. I wanted them to have an experience. I wanted them to be in an integrated setting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want them to be in a white suburban area and never know anybody.
Yeah.
And so I sent them to an alternative school in the inner city.
Wow.
Called the World of Inquiry. And so they, as a result, became involved.
Yeah, they're good people as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wore the shirt "Choose Love," because we've always talked about politics, and every time we trained together, Barbara would always bring me the paper. Like we all have different learning styles, and she knows that my learning style is visual and audio, but she always made sure that I was up to date with what's going on with politics and just making
and fitness.
So let's talk about fitness. That's why we have you on here today as well, to show that you're a go-getter. You never take no for an answer. If something, this is my knowing of you. If something gets hard, you dust it off. You get up, and what's the plan? What are we going to do? Where did fitness? So you used to ski. There's a picture of Barbara. Now, was that you started exercise in your 40s?
When we were living in Rochester, New York, and my kids started running.
Okay.
When they were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very upset that I didn't, do anything. And so the first thing they did was get a 2-seater bicycle and gave it to me as my 40th birthday gift. I hated bicycles. So they would have to get on with me. And I never liked bike riding.
Okay.
But then when they started running, I started to run.
Okay.
And
at 40.
Yeah.
And you never exercised before that?
Never. I went to summer camp. I was a counselor.
Yeah.
But I was never much of not an athlete of any sort.
No. So you started exercising at age 40. You started running.
I started running. Then my husband became interested in downhill skiing.
Okay.
And we had a bunch of friends.
These are awesome.
And
so who's this woman here?
My very close friend that we ski together all the time.
So was it cross country skiing or downhill skiing?
Well, when my husband started downhill skiing, I tried it, and I'm terrified of heights and lifts. I couldn't stand the lift.
Yeah.
And neither could my friend, whose husband was skiing with my husband.
Okay.
They were both pediatricians.
Oh, so that's where cross country skiing.
So she said, "Why don't we cross country?" And at that point,
awesome.
Believe me, nobody was cross country skiing.
Yeah.
We got knickers and
you got
wooden
those
skis.
Right there? I think we're gonna get to that picture again. Is that knickers right there?
Yeah, those are knickers.
So we get those.
Corduroy knickers.
Gee.
And people looked at us like we were crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you were women, or because
No, because we were cross-country skiers. Yeah, I mean, we just went into back country wherever our husbands were skiing.
Yeah.
We would find back country to ski, and we always took a little flask of wine and some food, and we loved it. And so we went all over the country.
Wow. So
with our family.
what's this? Barbara pulled out a book. So we have
that's a very well-known. It's called Skokie Lodge in Banff, Canada, and it's a very tricky, difficult climb to get to Skokie Lodge. It's almost impossible.
Really?
And it's very primitive. When you get up there, you spend the night.
Oops, sorry, guys.
And
so just you and her?
Yeah. Well, there were people that went, but maybe 4 or 5 people, and you stay at the lodge. And
so you were 40 or 45?
Somewhere maybe even 50.
50.
Yeah.
So you and your best friend said, all right, let's go on this legendary.
Well, our husbands were downhilling, going downhill in Banff.
But you guys stayed overnight.
Yeah, we left them and stayed overnight. Yeah. Well, they actually greeted us at the end.
Let's find a picture of that.
Well, this is this was our room at the lodge.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
And there was an outdoor john, so we accompanied each other because we were the big flashlight.
These are just beautiful. So Barbara,
here's the lodge.
Oh, nice. All right, we'll show that one. So Barbara, so you exercise, you were having fun.
Oh, we had a ball. Yeah.
So what do you? I mean, do you think exercise, like, can you just show everybody your muscle?
I have no muscle.
Yes, you do. Go ahead. Show them your muscle. Look at that. Look at that. Right there, baby. Whoa,
That's
90 years old right here. 90 years
That's
old.
A muscle?
That's a muscle.
Okay.
So 90 years old, you act like you're 30. You live on your own. You drive everywhere. You're independent. Right. Do you think fitness was a big key proponent?
No
Tell
question.
us about that.
No question.
Sure.
Well, the reason I got interested in real fitness is because I had to be fit to go skiing. In other words, you can't go out and ski for all day, miles and miles and miles uphill, all that, and not be fit.
Yeah.
You wouldn't last.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to incorporate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we started working out, you said your husband bought you a gift.
He treated me to a session with you.
That was what?
That was on his part. That was a big concession to pay all that money.
Yeah. Do you feel working with a trainer was beneficial? And
by all means.
And why?
Well, because you do things wrong. I mean, if you're trying to work out and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to hurt yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm asking you
because
I mean, I believe, obviously, I've been in this business over 30 years, but to hear it straight from, I remember you coming home one time from a trip in Canada. You have a house out in Canada.
Right.
And you came home probably about, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And you said, Lisa, remember you talked about balance, all the balance that we did?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you want to share that story where you said you were going down to the dock.
Right. I was going down to, I used to swim off the point, and I tripped. Well, there's several times that I've tripped, not just there. I tripped on ice, and every time I tripped, I was able to keep myself from falling. And I attributed that to you because you insist. When I first met you, you tried to have me stand on one leg and I couldn't do it.
She thought I was crazy.
So I've come a long way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When we were at the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, balance you taught me balance. And to this day, I am grateful because I am constantly tripping.
What's the number one thing that you hear me in your head? You always say
I don't know.
Like
a lot of things.
Like a lot of things, like the balance, would it stand tall?
Balance, core. You tell me what muscles are. You name the muscles for me.
Yeah.
You diagnose every now and again. You'll make a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've always felt safe and protected by
very much.
Do you feel that trainers are essential.
I certainly do, and I think they should be on the insurance policy.
Yeah, we've talked about
I
that.
really do.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to
Yeah.
know your right trainer, and you can't, just like a doctor.
Or just like a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no difference.
No.
I mean, psychotherapy is covered,
Yeah.
and you could go to anybody, and you don't know.
Yeah.
They could be good, they could not be.
But it's the same thing. Like, what advice would you give for someone to try to find a trainer, a psychotherapy, a massage therapist?
Well, for me, word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be the most helpful. Or if you've seen somebody doing it, like I saw you in the gym.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, she knows what she's doing. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now? Are you still exercising? You still, like, what happened? Let's talk about COVID and how you survived through COVID.
Well, I happen to be very fortunate. I'm living in a building with a gym.
And I work out out of.
Yeah. I mean, if I were belonging to a gym outside,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a gym across the street
Yeah.
that closed
Yeah, because of COVID.
because of COVID. So very fortunate.
Yeah, so you never
Could go-
stopped.
I never stopped. Every day.
Yeah.
Into the gym.
I know I'd walk in the gym, you'd have your mask on, you have your gloves
Right,
on.
right. There were rules.
Yeah.
They made the machines were
Yeah.
far apart, and you had to wear gloves and you had to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what advice, it sounds like, I mean, you're an amazing, cool woman.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and
sure.
I want to talk about, and I'm kind of bouncing with questions. This is what we do when we're together. We're exercising and we get into these deep conversations.
Yeah. And
So-
they're not about fitness.
No, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I do want to have this dialogue. I had a proud moment with my daughter, my mom. We all met. I think, being an American is a wonderful, wonderful thing. We have freedoms, and everyone has an opinion. And there was.
We went to march. Was it against the war? What was it?
It was. I think it was women's rights.
Women's rights,
Yeah.
and we met.
Yeah, we were
met.
worried.
We bumped
that
into you with your
Yeah.
family.
Yeah,
Right.
you and Arlene. Can we pull up that picture of
Yeah,
Arlene?
Yeah.
So there's a group of women in here that are great.
Oh, absolutely.
There's
Yeah.
80, 90-year-olds. That's
Right.
Arlene.
Yeah.
She's another great, activist for
My neighbor.
her neighbor. So that's the gym that we work out in. And I train Arlene, I train Barbara, and we have to build in talk time because we'll get into talking about politics. And it's never, what's great about these women is they're never judging on you. They're never, let's say I have a difference of opinion.
I try to change your mind.
She tries to change my mind,
No.
but she
No.
does it in a way. She has taught me how to have a respectful political conversation that I think is important. I think it's lost today a little bit. I think people
People are afraid to talk about it.
Why?
But it affects your life.
it does.
Oh, there's no question about it. And
You-
you're very foolish if you're not going to pay attention and be part of it.
What do you
Somebody
think?
makes a decision for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm.
Yeah.
That's what I love, and what I
Yeah.
love, what I've learned from you is,
Yeah.
it's okay to get into a heated debate with respect to each other.
Right. Sometimes I'm not so respectful, but I try
I've
to
had to
be.
calm her down a couple times, not towards me,
Right.
because sometimes there's some people in here that have different political views,
Right.
and that was
Right.
always fun navigating through. But
Right.
you did good. You were like,
I'm better than I used to be.
I need to leave. I need to leave right now. No, what advice could you give to the younger generation today? Let's first talk about, because you as a human being, and that's what I love about this show that I'm doing, The Inner Life of Fitness. It's sharing stories of people who get involved. People, instead of sitting back and doing nothing, do something. So what advice or
I think young people should be caring about what their future is going to be and what it's going to look like. You don't want me to get into this, do you? Climate change. I mean, there are issues that are going to be affecting them. Yeah, I'm not going to be around. And
But you still
but
care.
they right. They're
so
the ones.
how can they, like, vote, get out and vote, get
By
out.
all means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't like something,
Yeah. Right. People don't vote in the primary, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the primary is where you make your choices about who's going to run.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And then
Yeah,
after that, it's
right.
kind of, you can't turn back.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about exercise? What advice or what can you say to our viewers out there?
Well, in terms of exercise for young people,
yeah, and why? What about any age? Do you think it's too late to start at any age?
No, I'm trying.